नंबर्स किती जैसे नंबर्स
Okay, I'll just start. A very hearty good morning to all our participants and welcome to LoRa, the future of IoT. This webinar is brought to you by MIT ACS Yarandi and the High Voltage Club. Today we'll be having a great session with Mr. Suyog Patange. Mr. Suyog has completed his PE from the Pune University. He is the founder of SparkleX Technology and is working as a senior technical associate at India First Robotics and has more than 4 years of experience in this field. In order to make the session as interactive as possible, I would repeat once again that please interact with us through the live chat so that we'll be able to sort out your issues. In case you have some questions, just post them on the chat and we'll get back to you. I would now like to request Shubhangi Gaikar ma'am, the coordinator for today's webinar from MIT ACS R&D, to kindly take over. Thank you.
Thank you, Deven sir. Warm good morning to all. I'm Mrs. Shubhangi Gaikar on the behalf of Department of Electronic Science, MIT Arts, Commerce and Science College, Alandi. Welcome you all for online webinar on LoRa, Future of IoT, in association with High Voltage Club Nashik. We hope you are safe and taking precautions during this global pandemic of COVID-19. It gives me immense pleasure to say thanks for all the participants for your great enthusiasm and taking part in this webinar. Here, I am very happy to share as we receive more than 390 registrations, among them some registrations from different states of India and out of them and out of India also. So I'm very happy to announce you this will become an international webinar for LoRa. First, I would like to say thanks to our principal, Dr. B.B. Wafare sir, and our HOD, Professor Sunil Mahajan sir, for giving me opportunity to organize this webinar in association with High Voltage Club. Also, I would like to say thanks to Mr. Deven Jadhav, President and founder of High Voltage Club, for accepting our request for webinar and provide us eminent speaker Mr. Suyog Patange, founder of SparkleX Technology and senior technical associate, India First Robotics Pune. Welcome sir for today's event. The main objective of the webinar is to learn different aspects of IoT such as its fundamental, infrastructure of IoT and industrial needs. LoRaWAN is a low power wide area network developed to connect the Internet of Things, devices and sensors for mass deployment. LoRa is developed to provide IoT devices extended battery life in the range of several years. At the same time, it has extended range and is cost effective to deploy also. I would like to add few words of current gifts here. Take every chance you get in life. Take every chance you get in life because some things only happen once. Because something only happen once. Preparing yourself at every point won't guarantee any success without struggle, but it will guarantee that you are in a much greater position than you would be if you choose not to prepare at all. So don't let life pass by you. Grasp every opportunity and delight in every opportunity you are given as well. So thank you very much. Now I request Professor Sunil Mahajan sir, HOD of Electronics Department, to give a keynote address. Sir,
Thank you, Shubhangi ma'am. Am I audible?
yes.
Good morning to one and all. On behalf of MIT Arts, Commerce and Science College, Arandi, Pune, I, Professor Sunil Mahajan, welcome all of you participants from India and abroad in this webinar on LoRa, the future of IoT. Under the leadership of great visionary Dr. Professor Vishwanath Karar Sarji, Founder President MIT Group of Institution Pune, Dr. Sunil Karar, Executive Director MIT Group of Institution, Mr. Vijay Khode sir, Project Director MIT Anandi, and our mentor Professor Dr. B.B. Wafare sir, Principal MIT Anandi. He has started MIT ACSC Anandi College in 2007 under the banner of Myers, Pune, affiliated to Savitribai Phule Pune University, recognized by Government of Maharashtra. The college offers wide range of UG and PG programs such as BSc Regular, BSc Computer Science, BCom, BBA IB, Plain BBA, BBA CA, and MSc Computer Science. I am happy to share that the college has received various prestigious awards, prize, and honors in academics, student and social welfare activities, research skills, and providing best placement. The few, out of which a few are highlighted as Best College Award by Savitribai Phule Pune University from 3 consecutive years, Educational Excellence Award for Best Placement among educational institutions in Pune, Maharashtra. With a great thought, we are actually doing a lot of activity in this COVID-19 situation. And today's one of the activity is the webinar on LoRa, the future of IoT. I'm really thankful to the our college and our organizing partner, HVC, to take this initiative to conduct this particular webinar. Now, in today's scenario, IoT is playing very crucial role because everything we want to connect and to connect very fast. And today we get the need of this also. And according to that, even Savitribai Phule Pune University has included this topic in their syllabus for BSc Computer Science and plain BSc students from this year. So really this is the need of today. And I say that this long range, low power LoRa module for IoT is very useful and the demanding in the market. As you know that everything we want to automate, a very good example can be home automation, or we call nowadays the automatic homes or smart homes. So what actually in IoT what do? We do so we communicate the things between the people, the devices, the objects, and from that we make the system automatic. For example, if you are going for a smart homes, the people now want that if the sun rises, the curtain should remove by their own. If the intensity increases of the sun or the light in the room, the bulb should get switched off. And all this can be possible with the help of IoT. So in that view, we have planned this today's lecture, and I'm really pleased to introduce you our today's speaker also, Mr. Suyog Patange sir, who is going to deliver you what the IoT is right from the basic, and then what is the role of LoRa interface in IoT. So if you have a such advanced technology, then only the students can have options in their career. And so in that regard, we have today decided to conduct this webinar on LoRa, the future of IoT. In my concluding remark, I will say that LoRa wireless technology is going to play a big role in the IoT market. Interconnectivity or interconnecting devices to create smart cities, industrial and commercial solutions, with reducing the limitation from the other wireless technology such as power and other overheads. So we are going to see in depth today what the IoT technology is there, what are different protocols which are going to use in this, because in IoT communication part is very important, how the data transmission takes place, how the IoT device architecture is being formed, and how can you can use that. What are the different gateways by which you can use IoT, or really this gateway are required or not required, that we are going to discuss, and different LoRa technology or protocols. Sir will going to be highlight this. So the different IoT issues regarding to the hardware or what the protocols has. So in depth, we are going to see the IoT and the LoRa, the future of the IoT. So really, I wish very best luck to all of you. You can, I hope that you can learn a lot from this particular webinar. And I now request our today's resource person, Mr. Suyog Patange sir, to please start his lecture. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, so today we have webinar on LoRa, the future of IoT. Now the name LoRa is a short form of the long range. In that word, LO represent long and RA represent range. So the LoRa is the name of the technology, and this technology comes under the IoT, aka Internet of the Things. Okay, and this Internet of the Things is a very big branch. That means it contains several kinds of technologies as well as several kinds of protocols. So to understand the LoRa, we need to understand the IoT. So in a very first slide, I'm going to show you what is the IoT. In that IoT, what kinds of machines and what kinds of software that we are going to need it, that we are going to see in this webinar. So first is, what is IoT? So the definition of IoT state that the Internet of the Things is a system of interrelated computing devices. Okay, what it means by interrelated computing devices? The computing devices, it means what? We have microcontrollers, we have microprocessors. So the devices is called as computing devices, which had some kind of computing power in it. Okay, so they can able to process the data, whatever the data it's sent from the source, they are able to process on it, and if needed, they can able to transmit it. Okay, and the word interrelated, it means what? Connected one to another. Okay, so the things, it's nothing but, you can say, your sensors or your modules that we are going to attach to this Internet of the Things system. Okay, so these modules are internally connected to the computing devices. Okay, so that devices such like mechanical, digital machines, objects, animal, or people. Okay, so these are the things we can say in Internet of the Things system. Okay, so now these things has provided one unique identifiers. Okay, that means in each module that are attached to this Internet of the Things system, we provide one unique identifier, that is unique identification number to each module or each object. Okay, and it has the ability to transfer the data over the network without requiring human to human or human to computer interaction. What means that whatever the things we are going to connect it to this Internet of the Things, that can able to transmit the data over a network. So the network, which may be a wired network or wireless network. Okay, so whatever the things we are going to use in our Internet of the Things system, that can able to transfer the data without requiring human or human to computer interaction. It means what? Machine to machine, they can able to transmit the data without need of the human. Okay, or without need of any monitored, or you can say any commander for it. Okay, so they can able to transmit the data machine to machine. That is called as M2M protocol. Okay, or it may be machine to human also, or you can say human can able to also control it. So this is called as Internet of the Things. Okay, things will have a fully interconnectivity and computational resources. As I can say, whatever the things means what? Sensors as well as modules, communicating devices. These are called as things. Now these are interconnectivity. That means they can connect internally and computational resources. So whatever the computational resources, just like your microcontroller, microprocessor, Raspberry Pi, FPGAs, these are, you can say, computational resources. So they can able to compute the data, whatever the data is sent from the sensor or from the things, they can able to process on it. So these are called as computational resources. Okay. So the things will have fully interconnectivity and computational resources. Okay, next point is interconnection of physical devices via internet. So interconnection of physical devices. So whatever the physical devices, such like your actuators, then your motors, these are called as physical devices. Then your you can say your relays. So these are called as physical devices. Now we can able to operate it, or we can say monitor it via internet. So we have a provide interconnection of physical devices via internet. Next is enabling physical devices to send and transmit or send and receive the data. It means what? We can enable a particular devices from this Internet of the system. That is a huge system, and in this huge system there is a lots of sensors and number of actuators. Out of that, if I wanted to only communicate with particular devices or particular device, then I can just call that unique identification number that I provided while building that system. So I just enable the communication between that particular device, so I can able to transmit and receive the data. That means exchange the data to that particular device only. So this facility comes under enable physical devices to send and receive the data under the IoT. Extend the connectivity beyond LAN out to the WAN. It means what? Whatever the LAN, it means local area connected network, or we can say locally extended, locally implemented network. We can extend it to the wide area network by given the extending. We can say internet. Whenever you connected this LAN network to the internet, that it's become a WAN. Okay, or we can say if I wanted to increase the connectivity of this LAN to the number of devices, or we can just want to increase the number of devices which is used in this LAN network, so it becomes a wide area network. So these kind of features we can attach to the Internet of the Things. Next is the advanced connectivity of devices, system and services. So what it means by advanced connectivity? Some devices use their own protocols, just like your Bluetooth, Zigbee, or you can say your LoRa also, that has their unique, or you can say that provides their own system or your own communication system. So they can able to provide their own services. So whatever the data is going to exchange is without internet. Okay, for the communication of the data, or for the communication between host to client, it does not require any kind of internet connection. So they can depend on their own protocols, or you can say their own frequencies. Suppose Bluetooth have some gigahertz frequencies, then LoRa has some sub gigahertz frequencies. Then we can say we have a RF technology as well as, okay. So these are the just their advanced connectivity of devices. So they can able to transmit the data through that advanced connectivity. It may be wired or wireless. In a wired, you can say twisted cable wire, then coaxial cable, then we have a fiber optic cable. So these are the advanced connectivity that works without internet because they are internally connected. Okay, so this is all about the very first slide that we are going to see. Okay, let us see one example which is based on Blink IoT platform called as home automation. Now first I am going to tell you the function of each block which is we are going to use. So first is a Blink install Android mobile, or you can say any smartphone. Next is a Node MCU ESP32. These are the computational board which has IoT connection. That means it has inbuilt Wi-Fi. Next, this board is connected to the relay driver. Now this relay driver are attached to the AC load. The relay is used for the switching high voltage devices, just like pump motor, lamp, fan, which is AC, as well as it can be used for the DC appliances. Okay. So now let us see the working of this project. So first of all, user will press the button from the Blink app, and whenever he presses the button, the appropriate signal is sent to the Blink IoT platform. Now Node MCU connected to the Blink IoT platform via Wi-Fi, or you can say your home's Wi-Fi. As Node MCU has a inbuilt Wi-Fi facility on it, so it does not require any external module to connect to the internet. Now, whatever the user will press the button, the updated information is sent on the platform, and Node MCU is just monitoring on that IoT platform. So it can take input from that server, that is Blink server, and turn on respected pin of the Node MCU. Due to that, this output is connected to the relay. The appropriate relay is turned on, and hence AC load is turned on. This is how the project will work, and same process are followed for the other two devices. In the next slide, we are going to see the characteristics of IoT. First is the interconnectivity. With regards to the IoT, anything can be interconnected with the global information and communication infrastructure. As I told you that all the things that are connected to the IoT system are interconnected to the internet as well as communication infrastructure. So lots of communication happening between these IoT devices, and due to that, a major system will build, and this is called as infrastructure. So we have lots of devices that can able to communicate with each other, and we have interface with this system or our system, IoT system, to that infrastructure. That's why it has very first characteristics of interconnectivity. Next is the things related services. The IoT is capable of providing the things related services within the constant of the things. So what it means by constant of the things, each things has their own limitation, or you can say constant of things. So they can use that it can be operated on that limited constant. So the IoT will capable to provide that limited services to that particular thing, such as privacy protection, semantic consistency between physical things and their associated virtual things. So virtual things, it means what? Whatever the things that are sent from the data, and we can able to monitor it on web page, or you can say your application, that is nothing but a virtual thing. Okay. So next is the heterogeneity. Heterogeneity means what? Different. It means the devices in the IoT are heterogeneous, are based on the different hardware platforms and networks. So what are the different modules we are going to use? They maybe have their built on different platform, or you can say they can use their own protocols as well as their own services. So the IoT has a capability to absorb, or you can say to attach this kind of heterogenetic devices to the system. They can interact with the other devices or services platform through the different networks. So they can use their own technologies, they can use their own protocols for the communication as well as for the data transmission. Next is the connectivity. Connectivity enables network accessibility and compatibility. So connectivity enables network accessibility. Now, what is meant by network accessibility? It means what? Whenever the communication is happened between host to communication, once it's established, is called as they are connected. Okay, and when the data is exchanging going on that particular devices, that means from host to client or from client to host, that is called as compatibility. So accessibility is getting on a network, while compatibility provides a common ability to consume and produce the data. It means what? They can able to exchange the data when and when only the network accessibility is happen. Okay. Next is the dynamic changes. The state of the devices change dynamically. It means what? When the particular things, just like your relays or sensor, if it is changed their state from high to low or from low to high, then how drastically or how fast it will change on, or it will reflect on your control panel. That is called as dynamic changes. So dynamic means what? They are frequently changed, and whatever the result we are seeing at your mobile phone or as well as your application or website, so how fast it will reflect their state, it is called as dynamic changes. Okay, so this is all about the characteristics of the IoT. Now let us see the 7 layers of the IoT architecture. Okay, so I'm going to show you the 7 layer structure of the IoT. In that 7 layers, we are able to see first is the things layer. So as the name describes, things layer, the layer of IoT comprises of devices, sensors, and controllers. So whatever the devices that are just the source of the information, you can say source of the information is the very first layer. It lies on the very first layer. Okay, connected devices are what enable the IoT environment. So these are actually a resource for this IoT system. So they are enabled to IoT environment. These devices include mobile devices such as smartphones or tablets. Then again, your microcontroller unit, single port computers. The connected devices are the real endpoint of the IoT. Okay, so this is what about the layer first. Now let us see the layer second and its functioning. So second layer, connectivity or edge computing layer. Layer 2 is a connecting and edge computing layer, which defines the various communication protocols and networks used for the connectivity. And edge computing is a distributed architecture where IoT data is processed at the edge of the network. So if I require computational resource, or if I want a computation at the place where I just implemented that device, okay, so I can able to save my communication, or you can say our time as well. So edge computing is a distributed computing paradigm that brings computation and data storage closer to the location where it is needed to improve the response time and the save bandwidth. So this is all about the layer number 2. Okay, now let us see the layer number 3. It's a global infrastructure layer. The layer 3 is a global infrastructure layer, which is typically implemented in the cloud infrastructure. So whatever the infrastructure we have, just like your IoT platforms. Now, in a previous example, we see that IoT, Blink IoT platform, then Google IoT platform we have, Ubisoft will be there, ThinkSpeech will be there. So these are the cloud platform, and layer 3 is a global infrastructure. It comes under the global infrastructure layer, or you can say it comes under the cloud platform. So it is implemented in the cloud infrastructure. Most of the IoT solutions integrate with the cloud services, a comprehensive set of the integrated services. Next is the data ingestion layer. So layer 4 is the data ingestion layer, which includes the big data cleansing, streaming, and storage of the data. So data ingestion means what? It just absorbs the data from the first layer. You can say that is from the layer which is want to transmit the data over the cloud. That is called as data ingestion layer. So data ingestion is the ability of the absorption of the resource. Okay, from the layer first. Next is layer 5, that is data analysis layer. In the data analysis layer, I am related to the data reporting, mining, machine learning, etc. So data analysis is just used for the sortation of the data, whatever the data is sent from the sensors. So they are in different in their types. So in data analysis layer, it will able to sorting these different data types according to the data types and then save it for the cloud. Okay, so if the data is maybe you can say data is maybe for some data is we can use for the longer time, or some data is used for the shorter time. So according to the types as well as according to time for the saving or the time for the storage, it get analysis. Okay, so this is happening in layer number 5. In layer number 6, the application layer. Level 6 is the application layer, which comprises of custom application that is actually making use of the things data. So whatever the data we are going to see, that comes under the application layer, or you can say it is a layer of the monitoring. You can able to monitor the data, whatever the data is sent from the sensors or from the layer 1. So we can able to monitor it on, or you can say control it on the application layer. And next is a layer 7. Layer 7 is a people and process layer. This includes the people, business collaboration, and decision making based on information derived from the IoT computing. So once we are once we are able to see the data from the sensors, then we can proceed it on, and then we will give appropriate command to that particular devices. That comes under the people and process layer. Once we can able to see the what is the sensor, it shows the output. Then we will take a decision on according to their output, and we will give feedback to that system. That is nothing but our process layer. That is layer number 7. So this is the detailed architecture of the IoT. That is 7-layer architecture of the IoT. In the next slide, we are going to see main, or you can say compressed layer of the architecture. Okay, so we are seeing from the bottom in this diagram IoT device layer. You can able to see we have a different kinds of things, just like your sensors, gadgets, which are the sources for this IoT. Okay, so they can able to produce the data, and whatever the data is produced, it is sent to the cloud via gateway. So in a fog layer, we can able to see it consists of gateways, then processing unit, as well as public or private cloud will be there, just like your Google IoT, then Amazon IoT. These are the cloud which is based on the IoT. Okay, so in the fog layer, we can able to analysis the data. Global infrastructure layer will comes under this fog layer. Then you can say edge computing as well as data transmission. These are comes under the fog layer. Okay, so in the last layer, that is application layer, once the data is collected from the IoT device layer, it is sent to the cloud, and the last layer, which we can able to see what is the data is sent from the things layer. So in application layer, we can able to see the data, whatever the system we are going to attach to this architecture, we can able to monitor, we can able to control via the application layer. In application layer, we have a given GUI that is for the accessing as well as for the controlling the things which are going to use in a IoT. So in the next slide, we are going to see sensor and sensor network. As you know, sensor is a very important in the IoT system because it generates the data. Okay, so let us see the definition of the sensor. Sensor as an input device which produces an output, or we can say signal, with respect to specific physical quantity, or you can say input. So sensor is a one kind of device which can able to sense whatever the difference happening in a physical quantity that we are going to sense. Okay, so you can use this sensor has a different kinds of types, just like you can say analog sensor as well as digital sensor. So analog sensor will produce the data is in the form of analog values, and a digital sensor it is a one kind of device which can produce the data in a digital form, just like 0 and 1s. Okay, so next point, a wireless sensor network contains a large number of tiny sensor nodes, okay, that are densely deployed either inside the phenomenon to be sensed or very close to it. So these wireless sensor network contains very large amount of sensors as well as nodes, that means a computing devices, and whatever the sensor that are going to attach to the system are used inside that phenomenon which is to be measured or very close to it. Okay, sensor nodes are consist of sensing, data processing, and communicating components. So sensor node, it has one computing process, so we can say a data processing. Then for the exchange of data or from the transfer this data to the gateway, or you can say to the node, then it has communication components. Okay, in the next point, in a wireless sensor network, sensor node are densely deployed. So sensor node, it means what? A number of sensor that we are going to attach one computing device is called as node. Okay, and this node are number of nodes that we are going to use in a wireless sensor network. Okay, last point, sensor node are limited in power, computational capabilities, and memory. As I told you that the wireless sensor network contains tiny sensor nodes, so they are limited in power, they are limited in computational capabilities, as well as low in a memory. So this is all about the sensor and sensor network. Now let us see the one example on node and communication. Okay, in this example, we are going to see one node, and this node is attached to the various sensor. It may be a digital sensor or it may be an analog sensor. So just like digital sensor, you can say DHT22, then analog sensor like mic, or you can say microphone, and what are the digital to analog converters. So these are kind of sensor, and this sensor are attached to the one node, that is single node. It has a low computational power. So here in our example, we are going to use one Arduino. So Arduino is a low computing device, so it can process the data, whatever the data is sent from the sensor. And now this node is attached to the communicating module, just like your Zigbee, or you can replace with the LoRa. So this sensor node is placed at the area where we want to measure that phenomenon, or you can say measure that quantity. So this node is implemented at the area of the work, and due to this, we have to send the data from the node to the gateway, or you can say gateway station, where gateway can able to send the data to the IoT cloud, or it can be saved in locally. So we have to transmit this node data to the gateway. Okay, and for this purpose, we are going to use one communication module like Zigbee. So Zigbee can able to transmit the data from the transmitter, and once it send data from transmitter, the Zigbee component, or you can say Zigbee module at the receiver end, will receive the data from the sensor end, and then send it to the gateway. Now this gateway has the ability to analyze the data, as well as it can able to sort the data and then save in a local database, as well as if gateway is provided for the internet platform, then it can able to store the data on cloud database as well. So this is how the node communication will works. Okay, now let us see IoT domains. So first is the media. Media mostly uses IoT domain for the advertising. So one sensor-enabled device is provided to the user. So this sensor-enabled device is gather the information which is user can visiting the different sites as well as searching for the products. Then this data is sent to the advertiser. Now advertiser will show the advertise whenever the user is surfing on internet. This is how about IoT domain in media. Next is the environmental monitoring. So government of India announced 100 smart cities. In that smart cities, they are going to implement different weather station. So this weather station will collect the data from the environment and send it to the smart city controller. Smart city controller alerts the humans or peoples according to the data. This is how the environmental monitoring happens in IoT domain. Next is the identity and tracking. Identity mostly uses NFC, RFID cards, and tracking uses real-time tracking to track that any particular object or living things. Next is the farming. As you know, number of sensor that we are going to use in farming, farm, just like soil moisture sensor, then motor actuators. Next is the luminance indicator. So farmer can able to see information or able to monitor as well as control the status of the devices and the status of the farm at his home. Okay, so this is how the farming is useful. Farming is useful under the IoT domain. Next is the connected car. By using connected car technology, we can able to monitor the speed of the car, how the distance it travels, how much time it stops. This kind of things we can able to monitor. Next is the energy grid. Energy grid can use the IoT technologies for the tripping type of controls as well as load monitoring. Next is the logistic and shipping, infrastructure management, manufacturing, energy management, medical healthcare. So medical healthcare uses different kinds of sensor, which is mostly used in medical sectors, just like heartbeat sensors, then temperature sensor. So the doctor can able to monitor the status of the patient on his cabin. Next is the building and home automation. As you know, home automation, as our home contains lots of gadgets, electronics, as well as AC devices. So these are able to control via application, or you can say via website. Next is a transportation and consumer application. So consumer application mostly contains LED bulbs or mood lights, or you can say just like your Amazon Alexa. These are the consumer application. So this is all about the IoT domains. Next is the IoT technologies. Okay, it mainly described in the three types. First is the short range wireless. Next is the long range wireless, and last one is the wired. So short range wireless mostly contains Bluetooth low energy, or we can use this in our beard watches, or you can say wristwatches, just like your smart band as well as smartwatch. So smartwatch can able to exchange the data through this Bluetooth low energy to your mobile, and user can able to monitor the data sent from this smartwatch. Next is the NFC. NFC is a near field communication. As the name indicates, it can only transmit the data whenever the two devices are close to each other. So it is mostly used for the digital payments or for the identity as well as security. Next is the RFID, that is radio frequency identity. It is also same like your NFC. It can use for the digital payments or for the smart card system that is going to use in our schools and companies, where the identity card can be replaced using this RFID. Next is the Wi-Fi and Wi-Fi Direct. As you know, Wi-Fi is mostly used for the exchanging of data throughout the internet or without internet. Okay, so whatever the wireless network that we are going to use, that can able to communicate using this Wi-Fi. And this Wi-Fi Direct has one special ability that it can send data, or you can say exchange the data from end to end without any hotspot, or you can say without any third party device. So it can able to transmit data from end point to end, or you can say peer to peer. Next is the Z-Wire and ZigBee. So Z-Wire or Z-Wire, Z-Wave is uses ZigBee, or ZigBee protocol uses under the Z-Wave. So Z-Wave can able to communicate for the long distance. It can communicate the ZigBee receiver from using ZigBee transmitter. Okay, so these are also comes under the mid-range wireless devices. Next is a long-range wireless LPWAN. You can say low power wireless area network. Next is a LoRa. As you can see, LoRa is used for the long distance. It can extend up to 15. The range can be extended up to 15 kilometers. Next is a cellular 2G, 3G, 4G mobile technology that comes under the long-range wireless. So you can able to collect the information, or you can say you can able to communicate using these technologies. That is cellular technologies. Last one is a wired serial port. As you know, USB is a serial port, so we can able to interface lots of devices to your computer. Okay, as well as Ethernet. So Ethernet can also be used different kinds of sensor, which is Ethernet enabled cable, which is Ethernet enabled devices. So we can exchange the data using Ethernet as well as. Okay, next is the FireWire. FireWire is also same as like your Ethernet. It can be also used for the communication purposes. Power line communication, it also uses for the communication of data from end to end users. So this is how about the IoT technologies that we can use for the communication purposes. Next is the IoT protocols. Now let us see the protocols which is used in the IoT. First is the MQTT, which is very common and very useful in IoT technology. So MQTT stands for Message Queue Telemetry Transport. Next is a COAP, that is Constant Application Protocol. Third one is a REST. Okay, so REST is a representational state transfer. It's a software architecture style that defines a set of the constant to be used for the creating web services. Now these web services that conform to the REST architecture style called as RESTful. Okay, web services. It will be provides interoperability between the computer system on the internet. So this is how about this is all about the REST. Next is a 6LoWPAN, or you can say IPv6, that is Internet Protocol version 6, low power personal area network. Next is a ZigBee. HTTPS, as you know, HTTP stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol, and this HTTPS is just extension of S, or you can say security. So HTTP transfer protocol, or you can say Hypertext Transfer Protocol with secure. So it can establish a secure communication between host and client. Next is a Bluetooth Low Energy Profile. As we can see, this enable the communication between two devices, which is shorter in distance. Okay. Next is the IPv4, IPv6, TCP, and UDP. Out of all these MQTT protocol, all these IoT protocols, this last protocol, just like IPv4, IPv6, TCP, UDP, it means transmission control protocol and user datagram protocol. These protocols comes under internet, so they are now included in IoT protocols. Okay, in the next slide, we are going to see the data transmission. How the data transmission takes place between the client and server. Then you can say from node to the gateway, and from the sensor to the data processor. So this is all comes under the data transmission. Now data transmission is very important for the processing the data and the communication as well as exchanging the data. So now let us see the types of data transmission. First is a reliable transmission. In this transmission, client will send confirmable request to the server. So server will ensures to the client that he will receive a confirmable request from the client by sending acknowledgement to the client. Okay, so this is come under the reliable transmission. Next is the unreliable transmission. In this unreliable transmission, client will send one non-confirmable request to the server, and server does not respond any acknowledgement to ensure client that he will receive a non-confirmable request. Okay, so this is how the unreliable transmission will works. Next is a confirmable request and separate confirmable response. So in this type of data transmission, client will send one confirmable request to the server, and server will send one acknowledgement to the client that he will receive one confirmable request from client. And again, it will work on that confirmable message and send one confirmable response to the client. And now when the client will receive this confirmable response from the server, it will send acknowledgement to the server, so it can ensure that client will send confirmable, or server will send confirmable requests to the client. This is how the confirmable request and separate confirmable response will work. Next is a non-confirmable request and non-confirmable response. So client will send non-confirmable request to the server, and server will not ensure client by sending the acknowledgement that he will receive a non-confirmable request. And again, it will proceed on non-confirmable request which is sent from the client and send non-confirmable response to the client. So this is how the non-confirmable request and non-confirmable response will work. In the next slide, we are going to see MQTT protocols. Okay, so MQTT is most commonly used in IoT system. It is a publish subscribe, extremely simple, lightweight messaging protocol designed for constant device and low bandwidth. So MQTT is used for the devices where the bandwidth is low as well as high latency. It means it can frequently change. It can able to frequently change the status when a status will be changed at the end side. Okay. Next is it's a unreliable network. It means it does not send acknowledgement to the server, and client is also not uses any kind of acknowledgement to ensure the server. So MQTT protocol works under unreliable network. The design principle are minimize network bandwidth and device resource requirement, which is also attempting to ensure reliability and some degree of assurance of delivery. These principles also turn out to make the protocols ideal for emerging machine-to-machine communication. You can say in a machine-to-machine communication, we generally use this MQTT protocol. Now let us see one example which is based on MQTT protocol. So here is a temperature sensor, or you can say a node, which is compute the data, whatever the data is sent from the sensor, and then it's sent on to the MQTT broker. So MQTT broker is located at the internet. Okay. So this temperature sensor node is continuously send the data to this MQTT broker. Now MQTT broker will only shows this data who is a subscriber for that temp channel. In this example, computer is a subscribed to temp channel. So MQTT broker is only transmit the data from the sensor node, or you can say from the temperature node, to that computer user. Same thing is also for the mobile devices. That mobile device is subscribed to this MQTT broker using that channel called as temp, so that MQTT will only publish that values on that mobile device. So this is how the MQTT protocol will works. Okay. In the next slide, we are going to see IoT device architecture. So lots of devices we are going to use in our IoT system. So which kind of devices that supports the IoT system? Let us see right now. First is the operating system. Many of IoT device runs bare metal firmware. So what is this bare metal firmware? It's a firmware which directly runs on hardware or without requiring any operating system. So generally bare metal program will have a minimum bootloader to initiate the processor, clock and memory and jump to the main program. So this is how the bare metal firmware will works. And operating system, just like real-time operating system, you can say embed FreeRTOS. Next is a hardware compatibility, which is necessary whenever the device we are going to use in IoT system. So it will provide access to the hardware features. Okay, just like your microcontroller, general purpose input output, serial interfaces, etc. So serial interfaces will enable the communication between devices. So and GPIO will process the data, whatever the data is sent from the sensor. So, or you can say it can use for output device. You can say it will send the data for the output device, just like your relay. So general input, general purpose input output. Next is a microcontroller. Microcontroller is used for the processing as well as switching the devices. Next is a communication support. Wired and wireless protocol like Bluetooth, Z-Wire, or Z-Wave, Zigbee, Thread, CAN bus, MQTT, COAP, etc. So wireless protocol that can able to transmit the data or exchange the data throughout this IoT system. So we have a give support to these protocols that we are going to use in a IoT system, just like your Bluetooth, Z-Wave, Zigbee, Thread, CAN bus, MQTT. It's just an infrared type of communication device. Next is a remote management upgraded firmware or FOTA. So what is this FOTA? FOTA is a mobile software management technology in which the operating firmware of mobile device is wirelessly upgraded and updated by its manufacturer. So FOTA is standby firmware over the air. Okay, so this is how the firmware, this is how the FOTA will use. Next is a monitor the device. By using this technology, we can monitor the device. So internet enabled devices such like your mobiles, smartphones, then gateways, they are already connected to the internet. So we can able to monitor the device using this feature called as monitor the device. Okay, it comes under the remote management. Okay, next is the IoT gateway. In this slide, we are going to see how the gateway will work. Now you can able to see here is a two nodes which are connected to the single gateway. It describes number of nodes you can use, or you can attach number of nodes to a single gateway. Now this node has different kinds of sensor attached to it, such like DHT11, then ADR, temperature sensor, and one kind of actuator called as relay. So this node is connected to the gateway via Zigbee protocol. Now node will transmit the data to the gateway via this Z-Wave, or you can say Zigbee communication. Once Zigbee will transmit from the node, then at the receiver end, Zigbee client receive that data, whatever the data is sent from the transmitter. And this data is again sent to the gateway. Now the gateway has a computational power, or you can say it has a greater computational power than node. So it can compute the data as well as distribute the data according to its data types, or you can say it can analyze the data, whatever the data is sent from the nodes and from the nodes. And then this data, it can able to store it in its local storage. Also, it can able to store it to the internet cloud. Now, subscriber need to subscribe one platform which is based on IoT, just like Blink IoT platform, Google Assistant platform, etc. Now that subscribe channel, this gateway will communicate and then upload appropriate data through the internet connection. So this is how the gateway will works. In the next slide, we are going to see IoT gateway features. So what kind of features it gives to the IoT system. So it bridges communication, IoT devices and cloud. As we can see in previous example, it just act like a bridge between IoT devices and cloud. Next, it will forward the data from the device to the cloud. As you can see, whatever the data is sent from the node, it's forward that data to the internet cloud. Next is a highly effective in terms of performance and network utilization. As I told, this gateway is a better performance than node because the number of nodes is attached to single gateway, so it has a maximum performance, and it also uses network utilization. Next is a pre-processing of the information, messaging, filtering and aggregation. So message filtering means what? Whatever the errors might be happens during the communication, or you can say any filtering is required in that particular data, then it can done at its own processing unit. Okay. Next is a provide storage solution. As I told you that it has a memory card, so it can store that data, whatever the data is sent from the node, then it can be stored locally on it. Next is a act as a single point of access for monitoring. So I can, so as I told you that number of nodes that are connected to the single gateway, so user can access of monitoring using that single gateway, or you can say it can able to monitor the data on that single gateway. So various nodes will send information to that gateway, and user can only monitor that gateway. So he can able to monitor all the data, all the sensors, or you can say all the quantity that he is going to control, or he can want to monitor. Next is to gather all necessary metrics from the sensor. So whatever the metrics that is sent from the sensor, it just gather all the information and then send it to the cloud. So these are the features offered by the gateway. Now in the next slide, we are going to see IoT gateway need or no need. So first we are going to see need, where this IoT gateway is need. Okay, when IoT devices uses non-internet based technologies like Zigbee, Z-Wave, Bluetooth, that is BLE, Bluetooth Low Energy, and your LoRa also. So these devices does not have internet capability, or it directly cannot connect to that internet. So we need to provide this gateway. So in this case, these modules like Zigbee, Bluetooth is act as a communication between nodes and gateway, and this data is sent from node to the gateway, and after receiving the data at gateway is upload on internet, or you can say it can store it on locally. And next point, no need. So if IoT devices uses internet based technologies, but not all cases. So you can see in a very first example, that is Node MCU. The Node MCU is a Wi-Fi based device, so it can directly access internet via router. So in this case, the gateway is no needed. Next is the IoT single separate device and devices which are not static. So in these cases, there is no need of IoT gateways. Now let us see RFID technology. So this is a block diagram of RFID technology. So in this RFID technology, there is a two main components. First is the RFID tag and second is the RFID reader. So this RFID tag, it operates like a transponder. So because it has transmitter as well as receiver functions. So let us see the function of each block and working of RFID technology. So first of all, reader will send the data, or it will transmit the signal to the RFID tag, and RFID tag has an antenna, so it can access that signal or capture that signal and give it to the appropriate block. So the reader will send through the electromagnetic waves. So electromagnetic waves, it has some voltage. So this voltage is first of all rectified by the rectifier, and then it provides to the voltage regulator. So voltage regulator will send regulated voltage to all the functioning of the, or you can say all the devices which is used in the RFID tag. Okay, so regulator will distribute this voltage to the baseband processor, then ASK demodulator, ASK modulator, and a ring oscillator. Now let us see the working. First of all, RFID receive the tag, or RFID tag receive the information from the reader. Then this signal has high frequency in it. So in a very first block, that is ASK demodulator, will demodulate this signal. That means it will remove the high frequency and send original signal to the baseband processor. Okay, now the baseband processor work on that frequency, or you can say work on that original signal through the ring oscillator. The ring oscillator provides clock frequency to the baseband processor, and then as a result we get the transmitted signal. And in case of it will act as a transmitter, that time baseband processor generate original signal with the help of the ring oscillator, and then it provide to the ASK modulator to modulate that low or original signal in a modulated, or you can say high frequency signal. And then this ASK modulator is attached to the antenna of the tag. Now this antenna will again transmit that tag, transmit this tag to the, or you can say this code to the RFID reader. So this is how the RFID technology will works. Okay. Now let us understand LoRa technology. LoRaWAN or long range WAN architecture is deployed in a star of star topology. So what it means by star of star topology? In the star of star topology, every hub or every host is connected to the central hub. Okay, it means what? If the communication or data exchange happening between two hubs or two hosts, then the data is sent from the first host is first sent to the central hub, and then from this central hub it can transfer to the second host. So this is how the star of star topology will work. Okay, in which gateway relays message between end device and a central network server. The gateways are connected to the network server via standard IP connections and act as a transparent bridge, simply converting RF packets to the IP packets and vice versa. So what this gateway does in this LoRaWAN technology, it just convert the RF which is used by the LoRa to the IP packets. If the communication happens between two LoRa modules, then first it will convert this RF to the IP packets, and then IP packets is sent to the second LoRa module, or from that second module to the first module. So this is how the bidirectional communication will works. In the next point, the wireless communication takes advantages of long range characteristics of the LoRa physical layer. So we can take a benefit of this technology, that is LoRa technology, because it has a long range. So we can implement this LoRa technology or LoRa based network in such areas where internet connection is not available or internet connection is not reachable. So it can allowing a single hop link between end-to-end device and or one or many devices or one or many gateways. All modules are capable of bidirectional communication, and there is a support for multicast addressing group. to make efficient use of spectrum during tasks such as firmware over the air, upgrades, or mass distribution messages. Because this LoRa technology supports this FOTA technology that we discussed earlier. That means you can upload the firmware, or you can update or upgrade the firmware from the remote server, or you can say from the manufacturer to the area where that device is implemented. So we can use or you can take a benefit of this LoRa technology for long distance communication, where the internet, or you can say small or short range devices are not reachable. So this comes under the LoRa technology. Now let us see the example so we can understand how this LoRa technology will work. So it consists of several sensors, as you can see: temperature, then humidity, then water sensor, fire alarm, then actuators like relays for AC loads, then GPS tracking. So these are all things, you can say, and these things are connected to the LoRa node. Now this LoRa node is compute that device, whatever the device is, that LoRa node is now computing the data, whatever the data is sent from that sensor, and then appropriate signal is sent to the LoRa gateway. As a LoRa node, it cannot upload this directly on IoT server because it does not compatible with internet. So these LoRa nodes are always exchange the data to the LoRa gateway, and this LoRa gateway has a capability that it can connect it to the internet, so it can upload the data on the IoT servers, or it can store it, the data, whatever the data is sent from the LoRa node, it can store it on local database. So user can able to monitor the data from gateway as well as from the internet or from the IoT server. So you can see the user maybe uses their gadgets just like laptops, desktop, then mobile, and so on. Who is a subscriber for that server? He and he only can able to see that information. So this is how the LoRa architecture will work. Now let us see the specification of the LoRa technology. First of all, which type it comes under the sub-gigahertz module. Next is the power output in decibel milliband, that is 14. It uses UART interface, just like universal asynchronous receiver and transmitter. Pin counts, it has 47. Packages surface mount devices, as it is a low power device and it's an extremely portable device. So it comes under the surface mount module. Next, it has a RF module and RF transmitter. Then operating temperature of minus 40 degrees Celsius to plus 85 degrees Celsius. And it has a frequency of 434 megahertz to the 868 megahertz. And this frequency typically come under the sub-gigahertz frequency. Now input sensitivity in dB, that is minus 148, and transmitter and receiver power consumption we can calculate it using this operating voltage. So it uses on 3.3 volt to 3.6 volt DC. So the logic level, it is compatible with 3.3 volt and 3.6 volt in between that. So transmitter power consumption and RX power consumption is also equal to the power output, that is 14 dBm. So this is how the specification of LoRa technology. Okay, now let us see some examples of IoT cloud, which is commercial in word. So very first is Amazon Web Service IoT, or you can say AWS. So Amazon Web Services provides hardware as well as software services. In the hardware services, they provide Alexa module. So user can communicate with that device using, or you can say, or calling Alexa. Then it start listening to that user, and user may ask any question regarding today's temperature or so on, what he wants, today's news as well. So then once the user will ask any question to the Amazon Alexa, then it will convert that voice into the text, and that text is going on search engine, and then the resulting get one answer, and that answer is again converted from text to speech, or you can say text to speak, and that Amazon Alexa will read that answer. So this is how the Amazon Web Services uses. Next is the Windows IoT, then Google Cloud IoT. Google Cloud IoT is also typically same as like your Amazon Web Services. So Google Cloud can also able to turn on your devices, and Amazon Web Services also is going to be turn on your AC devices. Then it can automatically dim your lights. So these kind of things we can control, as well as we can communicate with IoT. So next is the ThingSpeak IoT. So this is another platform. It just hold a history of the things, whatever the things attached to the system. It just hold the system history. So you can process the data further. Next, it has a graphical representation, such like a graphs, then gauge. Then gauge will show you the appropriate temperature, you can say the measuring units. So in a measuring units, typically it uses gauge like graphical method. Next is a statistical graph. So we can analysis on that data, whatever the data is sent from the things. We can, with the help of this graph, we can able to calculate different kinds of maths or calculation. Next is the Blink for IoT. As you can see the example of the IoT, this platform, that it can how to turn on the AC devices, then how we can measure the different values using this Blink platform. This releases their own application, so user can install that application on his or her mobile, and then it can start communicating with the IoT devices. So this is how the commercial IoT clouds. Next is a hardware. So which kind of hardware commonly used in the IoT platform? These are listed follows. So very first is a Node MCU. As you can see in a previous example also, it has inbuilt Wi-Fi. That means it can directly communicate to the internet via router, and it has a computational power. Okay, it means it can you can directly attach number of sensors to it. So the sensors may be digital sensor as well as analog sensor. You can able to attach analog as well as digital sensor to this module, and this module automatically compute the data, and whatever the data is resulted, that data is going to be sent to the IoT platform. Next is the Raspberry Pi. Now this Raspberry Pi is mainly used as a gateway, as it has a better performance. Then it has a number of you can say number of GPIOs, so you can able to interact directly sensor on it, or you can able to interface communication modules such like LoRa, Zigbee, Bluetooth to this board, and this board will communicate with other devices or other nodes, and then gather all the data in it, and after processing that data, it can able to store it on its locally inserted memory card, as well as if internet connection is provided, then it has a Wi-Fi, so it can directly upload that data to the IoT cloud, as well as it has Ethernet connection. So whatever the Ethernet available devices, or you can say if the LAN is provided to every devices which is going to be work as a IoT system, or you can say a local area network, then this Raspberry Pi has a compatibility of LAN networks, so it may become a part of your LAN system as well. Next is the LoRa module. As the LoRa module we can use for the long distance communication, but it does not have any kind of internet connectivity. So we need one LoRa gateway to send this data to the internet using the LoRa nodes. So LoRa node can able to compute the data, whatever the data is sent from the sensor. So sensor we can attach to this LoRa, and then after the processing on data, it can send it to the LoRa gateway, as we can see in example of that LoRa architecture. Next is the Arduino boards. These types of boards are usually used for the node purposes. It has a 20 pins of operation, so we can able to do digital. We can able to attach digital sensor as well as analog sensor to it, and it can also comes with the interfaces, just like UART interfaces, SPI interfaces, and I2C interfaces, which is most commonly used in a IoT devices. So it can easily interface with such a kind of devices, and then it will start exchange the data between two modules. After the sensing the data, this Arduino is able to communicate with the gateway also. Next is the ESP8266 module. This kind of module has a Wi-Fi connectivity. So any device, or you can say any node which does not have any kind of internet availability on it, So using this device, that is ESP8266 module, we can connect that hardware or that node to the internet, because this ESP8266 module has inbuilt Wi-Fi connection. Next is the Ethernet module. So this kind of Ethernet modules we can able to use for that devices which does not compatible with Ethernet. So we can able to communicate with Ethernet modules, as well as we can able to provide internet to the node using these Ethernet modules. So it has its own computing power. So we can able to attach number of devices to it also, and then whatever the data is computed data on it, it also has a feature that it can send it to the internet. So this is all about the hardware which is commonly used in a IoT architecture. Now let us see some application of IoT. That is, first is the smart city. Smart city has a number of sensors or a number of the devices that implemented on a city. So they can interface with a single smart city controller, and then it can able to transmit and exchange the data between the sensor and the smart city controller. Once the smart city controller compute the data, then it will alert according to the sensor data to all the peoples of the city. Next is the smart irrigation system. As the name suggests, smart irrigation, it comes under the irrigation types of controls. So you can smartly irrigate our system. Next is the smart home automation. As we can see in example also, smart home consists of several devices such like your AC devices, then your DC devices like music system, gadget, and so on. So we can able to access these devices via internet. So it is called as smart home automation. Next is the smart shopping and smart train. In a smart train, you can able to, or user can able to see the current location of the train, and according to that, he can able to travel, or you can say he can able to travel throughout the train. So these are the application. So after this, we can see the demonstration of the projects that we are going to do.
Okay, now I'm going to demonstrate you one IoT project which is based on Blink IoT platform. For this project, I'm going to use this Node MCU, which is Wi-Fi enabled device. Next is two relay module. Out of one is connected to the AC load. You can use any AC load. Second one is kept open. Next thing is I need one smartphone, and this smartphone I need to install this Blink app, which I was previously installed. You can download it from the Google Play Store. In this Blink app, now I am created one project and name it as home automation. In this home automation project, I have created two relay switches, and whenever I press these switches, the respective devices is turning on, and I just connected this mobile to the internet via my mobile data, via my mobile cellular data. Now I'm going to on very first relay. You can see as I press this button, this relay module is turned on, and whenever I press the second button, this AC load is turned off. And if I repress this button, then it will turn off the respective relay. So you can see here, I am going to press this button and it will turn off. Okay, same the process for the second relay, and this is how the project will work. Okay, this is another IoT project which is based on Google Assistant IoT platform. For this project, I am going to use one Node MCU which has inbuilt Wi-Fi. Now this Wi-Fi is connected to my mobile's hotspot, and one relay module. Out of this two relay, one of the relay is connected to my AC load. You can use any AC load. And now for the turning on this AC load, I need to call Google Assistant for turning on this bulb. Okay, so let us see how it will work. Okay Google, turn on bulb.
Turning bulb on.
So now you can see the bulb is on, and if I wanted to turn off this bulb, now I want to say okay Google, turn off bulb.
Okay, so you can see the bulb is off. This is how the project will works.
Hello everyone. Good afternoon to one and all. Myself, Shubhangi Gaikar, made a great honor to propose a vote of thanks who have helped us in making this webinar successful. It gives me immense pleasure to propose a vote of thanks to our distinguished speaker, Mr. Suyog Patange sir, founder of Sparkless Technology, for making excellent presentation and demonstration of projects, also making this webinar very informative and interesting. Sir has explained all things energetically and enthusiastically to all. Thank you, sir. I would like to express our profound gratitude of our principal, Dr. Bibi Wafare sir, for giving us opportunity to organize this such webinar. I would like to say thanks our HOD, Professor Sunil Mahajan sir, for his moral support and guidance. I am very happy to express thanks to our staff members who have made this webinar grateful and people who have participated enthusiastically and making the event success. We are also very grateful to the High Voltage Club for his moral support. Finally, wonderful students who have enough such a great numbers, not only from our college, but other colleges also. Thank you so much for your cooperation. Thank you. Stay home, stay safe.